Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Woo. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blend and smooth, like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Woo! Living loud, thinking proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it once again. Welcome back to Spartan SQ Network. You are at Operation Hangout Show. I am your host, as always, Ghost of Sparta. I have my guys in the back, but I'm going to do this one by one. But let me ask all you guys a question. I got two questions tonight. Number one, did you hit the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button? You gotta hit those buttons, guys. Come on, you gotta do me that favor. And second, who you guys gonna think will win if John Wick and Punisher went at it, mano a mano? Forget the weapons. Weapons unlimited. Let's see what my guys say. So let me bring the first guy in. He is the most interesting man in the world. He is the big gigolo. He is my big guy. I am talking about. Let me get a sound effect. I'm talking about, of course, Black David himself. Yes, the most interesting man in the world. All right, let me get the next guy in here. He is one half of pop culture warrior. He goes up Angry Elf. He is my man, half of Star Wars fan, and who else? No, else. We're talking about Angry Elf.
Hello there.
Yeah. Let me
What's up? Hello there.
Gigolo? Really?
Hey, I was going with it. I was actually thinking about a good theme opening for you, and I thought, the whole. Remember the beer commercial? Is the most interesting man in the world?
I remember that Bill commercial, yeah, but he wasn't a gigolo. That's the difference.
Well, I had to bring something out in here. You know what I'm saying?
Really, EJ? Really? I didn't forget the Easter egg, okay?
Well, You and your hentai.
He no, you call it hentai. Ladies and
So Rob,
gentlemen, this guy almost put me and Wally in the hot seat asking about what hentai is, and we were looking at each other like, really? And
so
EJ was like,
I started pot on Wednesday a little bit, so I was running the show as the producer in the
"Sir,
back. So shut up over there.
mm-hmm,
You know what?
whoa."
Here's about you know.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Yeah, you
So
put the pot right.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
so in the chat, as I'm like, they're talking about anime versus American cartoons. So is it does hentai count as anime? So I'll see what they say. Oh my god! I opened a can of worms with that one. I'm sitting back here in the backstage. I'm off camera. I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, oh yeah, has to be a good one.
And
So
I had to give a public announcement. Please do not search you because that's not my opinion. Leave it on Pete. And EJ was just throwing ideas of different titles. I was like, oh my god.
yeah, I really opened the can of worms then. So you should do a full episode on your show. What is hentai?
Yeah, that is for Patreon, okay? No conversation for Patreon, all right?
Patreon.
It's not for YouTube, so you gotta cut that crap out.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut
Oh,
the
jeez.
fuck up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Look at the next guy in here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the president. Mr. President, it's time for your second speech of your career. You're muted, buddy.
No speeches. No. On with the show.
All right, we
Let's
got
go.
these guys in here, so let's get them by one
What's
by
going on,
one.
Elf? Good to see you, brother.
So let's get David first. His opinion about John Wick and Punisher. Rob, you're next. Paul, you're third, and I go last. All right, Mister
John,
Gigolo.
first and foremost, I'm not a gigolo, okay? So don't let the butter deceive you. If you pay him money, please get your money back quickly as possible. He ain't giving you no refund. Hold him up for that. But as for John Wick versus the Punisher, this is one of those questions I never thought this one coming. If you have known of the Punisher growing up, have you seen the carnage he have done? You would think he had no rival, but when you look at John Wick, this is hard to pick because the way I look at John Wick and look at the Punisher, two different individuals, two different merchants of death, two are dedicated. One, a former military guy before he turned to vigilante. The other one was actually trained to the highest order to deliver death. I don't know. And the other one is not Baba Yaga. That's a boogeyman name. I don't know. You might have to do a electrical death match. Try and put the tail of the tape and see how this will go down. I don't know. They might be, if they do this on a death match episode, I would like to see it. But this is hard to pull. This is not that simple. Uh, I'm being honest. It is not. Then again, which version of Punisher are you referring to? That's another question. I don't know what to tell you, but if anything, I slightly tilt over to John Wick. Slightly. Hey, I gotta be honest. This is not no simple question. Next person.
Be honest, this is a tough one. This is not like, straight up, this guy would win only because of this. I mean, the Punisher, if we're talking about straight up Marvel Comics and going off of the pretty much the established canon and lore, Punisher is a combat experienced U.S. Marine, Vietnam vet. And he's taken on a lot of people, a lot of criminals. But John Wick, on the other hand, he's a trained assassin. And he's John Wick is he's the boogeyman and he's a paid mercenary. I mean, if the pay's good, he's going to go all out. Punisher, if it's, he's got to be motivated. Um, so if someone's paying to freaking have Frank Castle taken down, John Wick's going to keep going until he's either too tired or too beat up to fight, or he kills the Punisher. Again, I think this is a tough one. I think that it could come down to a coin toss. I'll be honest. So we'll see. We're gonna have to debate this one out. We'll have to see. I have no answer.
Yeah, I guess I'm in alignment with the guys. I think what we might have to do, and I may have to lean on Angry Elf in this regard. The fact that he's a soldier. Now, again, it's interesting on our Gray Area show, Sundays at 9:30 on the BMU network and simulcasting on the Sparta HQ network. We've had several military interviews, and I know the last one we had was with my guy Mandrell, former Green Beret, who, let's just say, he's not enamored, certainly with Navy SEALs or other combat groups. I think he sort of ranked them. So yeah, I think he said I think he said Delta Force. I think it's like number one, then Green Berets, and he kind of had an order, but he definitely when it came to, I guess, elite fighting forces. I guess he was partial to certainly the Delta Forces and the Berets, and then maybe Army Rangers after that, something. But it could be biased based on his experience, being in the Army. But I think we're looking at two different mindsets here. So if you want to talk about who would have the advantage, you got to look at the mindset of an assassin versus the mindset of a soldier. And I don't know enough to, we may have to kind of do a deeper dive there because that can make the difference in terms of the outcome and who wins, who doesn't. Punisher obviously is both of them are driven by remorse and rage over losing loved ones and things like that. So that's a fuel that that drives them to do what they do. I think Punisher may have more of a mission. John Wick, I don't think had a mission per se. His only thing, he just wanted vengeance for those who took out his wife and his dog, and basically after that was done, he could have very easily just went home and retired. Punisher seems to be driven by a motive to again bring justice. So I don't know if that flame of him losing his family, I don't know if that's going to be easily extinguished. I don't think John Wick wants to kill anybody anymore. But, people want to kill him, so he's got to protect himself, and he's got to get certain people or whatever. But if they just left him alone and let him, decompress, you would probably just diffuse the situation. I don't know if the Punisher can be diffused because his mission in life now is to avenge and to, protect the innocent. So, but again, I think that the fact that I don't know if, again, I've heard that a lot of military guys are, again, no disrespect meant, but this is also coming from other military guys, that a lot of these guys are sociopaths. So there is like a disconnect a lot of times that a soldier has to do in order to do his or her job in the field versus, an assassin who may not be limited by any moral standing. Now, I know in the John Wick universe, I know there's like a sort of a standard amongst the assassins. There's a code of honor amongst the assassins. I don't know what that is for people outside of that group, but it very well could come down to those kind of distinctions that make the difference. Because I think skill wise, I think they're very skilled at what they do. They'll do anything, use anything, certainly to win against an opponent. They're excellent marksmen. They're good with virtually every weapon you can think of. So it may not boil down to skill, but it may boil down to mindset. And that's, I think, where the discussion is. And like I said, the mind of an assassin versus that of a soldier could be where the advantage or disadvantage lies. So that's where I'm at with it.
I need to make some correction on that part concerning John Wick. John Wick wife passed away. Number one, he put to retire from the world of the underground, meaning he did his last gig. He gave the oath not to be bothered by nobody. He had a dog, had a car. They stole his car and killed his dog. And upon an agreement from the underworld he came from, which is not only global, it connected to multiple government, multiple corporations.
Mm-hmm.
They all agreed to leave him alone. He considered to be the number one, the elite of the elite assassin. And for someone to screw that up and somewhat bring him back from retirement, there was something about he did not hold the code of ethics. If you watch John Wick 1, a blankly pulled out what was going on. Did the retire assassin leave the guy alone? You will steal his car and then kill his dog, and no one's held accountable for it, and everyone to brush him as if he's a nobody when he is not really a nobody. And even underground gangsters, underground mafia are afraid of him because they know the kind of work he does. So it's kind of like saying you're bringing someone from a world that have been hidden from the public eye for hundreds of years that constantly breed out a new level of assassin, unheard of seen of, and they will walk right past us when not even realize they are assassin. Because if you watch John Wick from 1 to 4, it's like saying they live in the same world we live in, but we don't know that they actually exist. You get what I'm saying? That is much bigger than the military. Who know what kind of training they give these crazy assassins? I'm not saying, and I'm not taking anything against the United States military, but when you hear people who are trained in an art of killing that have been passed down over 100 plus years, you got to question: Are you really a human anymore? After a while, because let's just look at history. The history book always made it clear that people who do such things are devoid of emotion in some kind of way. They do the thing that you think you're never going to do, and they'll do way beyond that. It's like it's another realm unheard of. So just to put that figure of of John Wick and you compare with someone with the military, that's why I'm saying it's kind of hard to pinpoint who will win because one was trained to protect his country, then you find out your country betrayed you. I get that. The other one was trained to protect an organization that dated back maybe 200-300 years, and they broke their oath and not give him his right of peace, but you let somebody disrespect him when he asked for peace. So it's kind of like who level of visual is beyond lethal.
And I get that, but what's the correction? Because you said you wanted to correct something. So
The correction you
what
were
was
saying that
corrected from what I said
the
earlier?
correction I made, you said that they killed his wife. His wife passed away.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
And they stole his car and shot his dog.
that right.
That was his
That's
retirement.
but
And that kind of like
I get that. But having said that, from my observation of the films, he only wanted vengeance against those who took his car and killed his dog. And really, the car, I mean, you can replace the car. I think the dog,
I would say the
that
same
was like
thing
an
too.
emotional attachment that he had
That's
bonded in the
correct.
way it was done, and it was a beagle. So I'm definitely doubly upset about that. But I'm saying, but that could have been if folks would have cooperated and said, look, here's if the father said, look, my son did this here, do what you want with him or whatever, it would have been over. But everybody escalated. It's like you got this live dog out there, I was saying, let it die. Like, okay, let him get his vengeance or whatever on those who did it. We didn't do it, but now all these people got pulled into it. And now it was more so he was more so defending himself versus more so going after people. He only wanted the people who did it. I'm saying with the Punisher, he is driven by a moral imperative that wherever he sees injustice anywhere, anytime, the death of his family will never be quenched, and therefore his mission to avenge those who've been, who are being terrorized, that that flame will never go out. So as I'm saying, so he has a calling. The Punisher does. Well, I think Wick, he just has a vendetta, and to me, those are two different things.
And I agree. No, I'm glad you break it down. I agree to that argument because when you describe that part of the Punisher, I look at the part of John Wick, and it's almost like I can't say they're identical, but they all got trained to a level of degree of expertise. It's the fact that the John Wick world is just well unheard of. The wearing suit that made from Teflon. Like, do you ever look that cute to kill? I'm just saying. Well, I'm sorry. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. When I see people wearing Teflon suit and you think it's a regular suit and they come and kill you, like
Oh shit. Here
what
we
did I
go
get
again.
for you to kill me in a tuxedo? Like seriously, am I that bad? And
I
Yeah.
think there's another thing that's being forgotten about, especially considering the Punisher, is the fact that he is a Marine, scout sniper, forced recon, so he is highly trained. He is from the original lore. He is a Vietnam vet, so that means he's from a different era. He saw combat in Vietnam, so he's coming home and knowing Frank Castle, he's probably got a more than his fair share of PTSD. And you know, with his family being killed, and it was a mob hit that went wrong, and they just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Um, Frank, the problem with Frank is he does not know when to quit, and he's not going to quit. And the other part of it is the difference is the Punisher. He lives in a superhero universe, right? Where we're assuming John Wick is in something close to our regular world. And the one thing that the Punisher sees is these superheroes, these superpowered individuals will go out and stop a criminal or a villain. They end up in prison only to break out, a couple weeks, couple months later and start their problems again. And the Punisher's solution is, well, you want these guys to stop, instead of putting them in prison, put them in the ground. And that's kind of what the Punisher is doing, especially with mobsters and other organized crime. And so I think what it comes down to is one aspect is the Punisher is at best an anti-hero, and John Wick is he's a hired mercenary, hired assassin, which in my book is a villain. He just happens to be the protagonist of his own story. So of course we're gonna root for him. Um, so I don't know. I think they're both equally matched. I think it just really comes down to mission, drive, and maybe opportunity.
and I agree with you with that because when you put it that way, yeah, he supposed to be the villain. But even if the leader of these organized crime unit are afraid of him, they let's say when they hear his name, it's like even they got the chill. As long as nobody not put him on my head, I'm good. Like
Mhm.
he, the way they keep describing him in the movie, I'm like, is this dude that dangerous? Like every organized crime boss would not even play with his name. It let me know, like, okay, this guy had to be some Green Reaper for real, for real. You gotta be that type of person. You can't even take a leak in the alley without looking left or looking right.
Here's the thing we're forgetting here. Let's start with what motivates each one. So Castro has a different motivation, a very personal motivation. You took out his whole family He says, "Now I'm gonna fuck you up," pretty much, and he
Right.
fucks up everybody. If you remember the 2004, 2005, was it? Punisher movie.
2004.
2000, thank you. I think that was the best Punisher movie personally, and they break it down how his vendetta drove him. Nothing would have stopped him, and not even death. He would get resurrected and go after these people. Now, John Wick is different. Is the first, except the first movie. The first movie, he had a vendetta. Listen, I'm with Paul. I'm a Beagle dad. You come after my fucking dog, I'm gonna fuck you up. Simple as that. If you look at my dog wrong, if you come sniff at my dog, I will kick you so fucking hard in the balls to come out of your mouth. That's how bad it will be. So you could, so that part I get. Now 2 and 3 really didn't have any motivation. Money was motivating him at that point. It wasn't like the dog was dead. He got another one. He moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I said they wouldn't
Yeah,
leave him
he
alone.
moved on, but they didn't move on.
That's what
They
I'm
want
saying. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, the situation could have been diffused if everybody wanted it to. But no, it's like,
ego.
the son was clearly wrong. Even his father was like, "You did what?" And he's like, "Oh, now we got to deal with this. Thanks a lot, son." He
Yeah,
could have
we have a
saved
problem.
his whole criminal organization. I know it's your son, but you could have saved your whole criminal enterprise if you would have just said, "Look, John, there he is. Look, you guys to you guys to go, because now you messing our bag up, you messing everyone else's bag up." But no,
Yep.
and then it just got to a point where people just wouldn't let it die.
They keep
And
egging
that's
him.
the thing.
Here's the thing where I will give the edge to Paso. His training with the Marine Corps. His training has been elite.
So that's the thing. I
Rob,
don't
jump
know
in
what
here
that
anytime.
is. Like I've asked the two of you in this space or on other shows talking about martial arts training. Angry Elf, you're here, your military background as well. To me, it's a gray area. Like I'm asking guys all the time, what is taught in terms of military training, in terms of fighting, real fighting? Shout out to True North Beer Company.
Guys, really fast.
And
If
what are
you've
you
grown a
guys?
beard,
What are they trained in compared to other martial arts? Now, again, not every martial arts is necessarily good in the street. I certainly get that. But are these guys really getting trained? And again, amongst the military ranks, is where he came from. And I know Ingraf, you talk about he came from Vietnam. Now, again, I don't know what iteration that we're referring to,
he did
because I know
3
the Netflix
tours.
series, he's more like Desert Storm. Like it's a newer series, so I don't think they're going to go back to Vietnam with it.
So, Paul,
Right.
hang on,
No.
cut you off really fast. Look, it doesn't matter if it's Vietnam or Desert Storm, but all of them have one thing in common with the Punisher. He actually has done 3 tours overseas. Although every lore you read, or universe, or whatever you want to call it, has him
Right.
doing 3 major tours.
Right. But but again, even if I gave you that, I'm saying that the standard. I don't care if it's Delta Force, Green Beret, Rangers, Navy SEAL, whatever. He's a Marine, so I don't know what division. Recon, Marine. What does that even? What does that look like? Are these the biggest, baddest fighters in the world? Could you put one of these guys in an octagon or whatever, and they would do? I mean, what is the what is the breadth of the training that he received? With John Wick, we kind of got a glimpse into it in this. I think in the second film. Again, these guys are trained to kill. I mean, it's every move is just to take the person. I don't know with the military, and again, Angrove, illuminate if you can. Is that the idea? Is
Well,
military defensive training kill as quickly as possible? Because it seemed like with
it
John Wick,
it
that seemed like what it was about.
it def- as far as martial arts goes and the military, it's different between each branch and it's different between each echelon within the army, or excuse me, within the military. So, for
Hmm.
instance, the army, we learn what is regular army folks, we learn what we call combatives, which is basically, oh, I'm going to get butchered here, but it's basically hand to hand, take the person down to the ground, um, and you're kind of like taught to hold that person there until a buddy can come up and assist you in taking that person out and or killing them.
Hmm.
The higher you go up the tiers into special operations, they become more trained, more specific, and more hand to hand. So somebody, I was Army, so I don't know exactly what the Marines learn, but I would assume that um, being forced recon, regardless of what era we're talking about, he's probably proficient in knife combat, and he's definitely proficient in hand to hand.
So we're
And
talking about
so,
CQB, correct?
what's that? Sorry again.
CQB? Are we talking about
Yeah.
close
Well,
counter combat?
CQB and hand to hand combat are two different things.
Mhm.
CQB is close quarters combat, meaning entering a building and clearing and fighting inside of rooms versus out in an open area. So, I mean, again, I'm assuming that Frank Castle, the Marine, learned how to fight with knives and with his fists and his feet. Um, Comparatively to somebody like John Wick, who's a trained assassin, who's got to be able to kill somebody with whatever's available based off of the scenario and where he's going and what he's doing. Hand to hand, I might give it to John Wick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, he's killing people with pencils, with books. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like anything he can put his hands on. I was like, I don't know if, military, that kind of training teaches you how to do that. Use whatever, a piece of broken glass or a bottle or
No,
something. Like, are you getting that kind of training? Because I'm saying to
no.
take on someone like
But
that, you got to be able to use whatever's in front of you.
you have to keep one thing credit for when he's due. Castle's always prepared for any situation, anywhere. If you remember the Russian scene in the movie, he was like his whole apartment was literally guns up the ass, grenades everywhere. Like he's always prepared. It doesn't matter. His car, he was shoot up. He freaking dropped a goddamn bulletproof visor and it was like shooting at him. Like shit.
Sure,
Your Your
he's
Honor,
prepared.
Hang on, I'll go
hold on.
first.
I understand first cat the puncher is always prepared, but let's not forget you talk about a guy who was trying to be a assassin who beyond prepared. He got a plan for everything, then he makes sure if he coming to get you, you're not going there without being. This is something I watched the Punisher, the War Punisher. I've seen the comic book. That dude is prepared to the knot. But I never seen someone on the John Wick side of things. No, I don't think he really comprehend. He know he might get stabbed. He might get shot at. Who do you know wearing a tuxedo, a complete suit, the shirt is Teflon, the suit is Teflon, everything like you can't even stab him with a knife. He will feel the blunt, but it won't go in. He gets shot at. It's like even I myself, why would I want to wear a suit with Teflon and there's no cushion in between? But I'm going to feel it. But I gotta condition my body to take that kind of pain.
Yeah, but Punisher's suit. I mean, just because John Wick has a Teflon coated suit doesn't mean that Frank Castle's suit isn't. On top of that, the whole reason he's got that white skull on his body
Hmm.
is to draw the fire to that skull, which has got most of his body armor. It's the
And
same thing with Batman and his bat on his
bingo,
chest.
bingo.
It's to draw the fire because that's going to catch the eye, and that's where the eye is going to go. So that's where someone's going to shoot, and that's where he's got his most of his armor to protect himself.
Not only had the armor,
That's interesting.
he had to pad it to lessen the blows.
Yeah,
John Wick got none of that. And he gets hit. I, I'm like, dude, you got shot. That thing hurt. He doesn't care. In my head, I'm like, do you even have emotion? Do you even understand pain? You give me a Teflon suit with a Teflon shirt and a Teflon tie, and you shooting me up. I still be on the ground. I don't be like, no. I was like, stop, time out. He get hit up, and I'm watching him like,
yeah.
Did your wife death make you super numb? Like seriously? Like, dude, I understand your dog, but your wife make you that numb to pain?
Maybe they're having rough sex. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Press
that
that
scenario,
button for
and
yourself. Press
maybe
that
look,
button for
maybe
yourself.
because of the military, maybe we not supposed to know what these
And
guys
that is a
know.
factor. Am I right, Rob?
Maybe that's part of it,
I mean,
but as soon as they keep saying, because I was reading up on all of the background and what, yeah, he's a Marine, he's a recon guy, whatever, and I'm just saying, okay, what does that translate to? I would still have to think that there's got to be something in him. Now, again, I don't know in his backstory. Did he know martial arts before he went into the military? Did he augment his training in the military, post military stuff? But if you want to use that as a basis for his fighting skill versus someone like John Wick, I got to give the advantage to Wick just based on that alone. But in part because again, I don't know what military forces. From what I've always been told, the most elite in terms of hand to hand, in terms of like fighting, the Israeli forces are like near the top of the list.
yeah,
Those guys are
it's
like,
special operations.
yeah, those guys are like no joke when it comes to combat, hand to hand combat skills. But as far as these other groups, like I said, I don't know. But it's almost to the point now where I'm not like it doesn't resonate with me. Okay, Marine Recon. Oh man, that guy is elite. If he did fight a Green Beret, what would happen? If he fought a Delta Force guy, what would happen? I don't know because we don't know what these guys are being taught on any given time.
I think if we took a forced recon guy versus a Green Beret versus a SEAL, it- it's gonna be it's gonna be opportunity, honestly. And all these guys are gonna make an attempt at trying to kill their target at standoff. What I mean is if they're a trained sniper, and not all of them are trained snipers, if they're a trained sniper, they're going to sit in a hide with a rifle that can shoot long range, and they're going to try to kill their target before he or she knows where they're at. If it's somebody who is experienced with explosives and um, things of that nature, then they're going to try to booby trap and detonate the explosive to injure or kill their target before they're close enough to kill. Um, I think with the Punisher versus John Wick, I think the Punisher is going to go for something with standoff. He's going to try to bait him into a scenario or into a location where he can snipe him, maybe blow up a bunch of stuff. He's not beyond um, a little bit of collateral damage, so he might be using some improvised explosives, some IEDs, use a propane tank with a whole bunch of nails, and try to catch John Wick that way. Um, I don't think the Punisher's trying to go face to face. He's not somebody like Wolverine who's going to want to go get up close and personal with six metal lace claws. He's going to want to freaking maintain some standoff. And on top of that, Punisher is going to go with something heavy, meaning a heavy weapon, a machine gun, a minigun, um, something that John Wick. He's got that Teflon coated suit. There's some caliber of bullets that Teflon suit's it's gonna go right through with it, like
Yeah.
a hot knife through butter. Um,
You're
and
correct.
once the Punisher realizes that, he's gonna go for that. He might even just say, "Screw it! I'm just gonna sit here and use RPGs all day long." Eat this, John Wick, and that's Punisher style. If he has very little rules when it comes to killing. As long as the person is dead at the end of the story, he doesn't care.
And
All
I'm
right,
glad
let's
you
hang on one
mentioned that
second.
part. Because
Hang on, hang on.
in John Wick's point of view, I'm glad you mentioned that because John Wick always understands if he's going after somebody who want to be up close and personal, he will be aware of the booby trap. So he'll be looking for any small clue. But this is someone who was trained. Military training, I will never look down on. They are trained to the very, very best. And I don't care even Israeli military, they're considered to be the most dangerous. But the art of assassin, it's all about stealth. It's all about doing things without taking our attention. So if he is observing you, be prepared for him. You don't think he have an antidote for what you're trying to pull off, and he watching you from a distance. If you understand, like, okay, I can't come close to you. Okay, let me see what do you have set out so I can use against you that will backfire. That's John Wick. The mob boss guy said you cannot stop John Wick from coming after you. You can get so prepared. You can have a army prepare for him. He'll still go through the army and still get you. Why would somebody say that about one person? That is because he must have done the most gruesome kind of thing to get to somebody. And they pulled a hit on, and then he got John Wick don't have no morale. It's just like a code. You're given a job. Your job is to finish. If you don't finish the job, they'll take you out. That underworld, there's no mercy in that underworld. You're not allowed to fail a hit. For what I'm learning when I watch that movie. If you fail to hit, you become a hit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hang out 1 second. I have a video I want to show you guys, and we're going to continue with the conversation because I might just bring some lightning to us. Yeah, it'd be nice if I had the. Access the wrong one. Figures.
Okay.
Oh, shut up over there.
Press the
All right.
button for yourself.
Nope, I'm the host. I'm not allowed to push the button for myself. I believe this is it.
Could John Wick defeat the Punisher? The answer is yes and no, and here's why. Number one, if they were caught in just a fistfight, no guns, Frank wins, no div. He can take on dozens of trained killers with just his bare hands. But in a 1v1 gunfight, John Wick wins, no div. He is the gun fu god. He's taking down hundreds of heavily armed, trained professionals solo. Could John Wick defeat the Punisher? The answer is yes and no.
All right. Go ahead, David.
Yes and no. Yes, he took out 100+ trained guy with a gun solo. But you don't think he's not trained in the art of fight without a gun? Like, come on. The guy fought with it.
Most the
Hold on,
scenes.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Time out. Did he not fight in one of the movies that he had a samurai sword and he went toe to toe one of the very best guys who was good at that thing? Like, how many style do you think he learned? Assassin don't learn just one style alone. Let's not forget the movie called Ninja Assassin. We're not gonna compare that with the John Wick, but how these people are so gruesome. They train with every weapon, even their hand is a weapon to begin with.
Are you talking about Ninja Assassin?
Yeah, perfect example. The guy is from a Russian background, know how to fight under a samurai style, and he did a real. If I was trained to be an assassin, how much PTSD could I bypass to the point whereby I got no more emotion anymore? These people are trained beyond the PTSD level. You're not supposed to feel pain. Your job is to get the hit, move on, be prepared for another assignment. The fact that they let the very best ones to retire and take a retirement plan, even they themselves are thinking like, okay, we never done it for anybody. Why we let him go? You know what I'm saying? In the movie, you can hear that they discuss among themselves. They don't want to leave him lingering because they feel like, no, he's supposed to be working for us. Dude did the worst job, even the job that no one wanted to take. You know what they said? He did the kind of job that no other assassin would not take, and he take it, and he did it, and he asking you to leave him alone, leave him be, let me have his peace. But they're all up in their grown boy underwear, mad that he did something that no one can even do it, and you want to take that credit from him. You want him to come back. No, you say no. I'm done. Leave me the f alone. Let me have my peace. But you egg him on.
A new subscriber.
You piss him off. You took his car. You met him with his beagle. You let him deal with that person. You bring more people into the business. You even put a global hit. Okay, hold on. Who do you know can survive a global hit? All the assassin in your lineup and chase after one guy. And I was thinking, would that be the most marketed way to? That's like you effed up your own business. You have the very top assassin, and you send your top 100 after him, and you take them all out. Like, dude, you screwed up your business. Why send the top 100 after him? And you know how dangerous he is. He to clean all your roster out, and now you make vacancy for new up and coming assassin and take the 100 spot. You tell me. I'm looking at the business like, what would the leader of that organization is an idiot? Leave the guy alone.
Yeah, the thing of it is, between these two, it is you're not stopping the Punisher. I mean, straight up. Now he's only going to go after what is classified as a villain or a criminal, but the Punisher's not stopping. The only way you're stopping the Punisher is you are putting him down. And his whole motif is to put you down. The only I will tell you this much, and this is one thing that resonated with me, was there's one person Frank Castle will not fight, and that is Captain America. There's
Oh,
a scene. If you go back to the 2006 or 7, I forget what it is, but the first Marvel Comics Civil War, right? There's a scene where Frank Castle comes walking in with a beat up, basically near death Spider-Man to the rebel headquarters, and Captain America is not happy that Frank Castle's there, and some things are said, and the next thing you know, Captain America gets like he's pissed off, and he's coming after Frank, and he's beating on him and beating on him and beating on him, and Captain America at one point says, "Fight me," and Frank Castle's like, "No, sir," and I'm like, I'm pretty certain he called Captain America sir and said no. And one of the things was Frank Castle absolutely, without a doubt, respected Captain America to the point that he would not fight back. And he just took it. And Cap beat the shit out of the Punisher. And at one point just stop. Yep, there you go. Yes,
oh,
thank you. That's the scene. Yep, there you go.
ooh.
And it's to the point where a couple months later, at the end of Civil War, spoiler alert for a over almost 20-year storyline, Captain America dies, and Frank decides that he is going up right there. Go down to your right.
Sorry, hang on 1 second. Let me back up. Give me 1 second. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Where am I going?
But go down. It's the third row to the right. The the Punisher / Captain America looking folk holding the flag. But the fact, yes, that one. But after Captain America passed away, Frank Castle honored him by wearing a Punisher / Captain America costume for a while. But the Punisher has a resounding respect for Captain America, and that's just something that resonated with me as far as how it all goes down between the two of them. And that might be something that John Wick could exploit, but it also says something about the Punisher, that he's got a moral compass, and that's one thing he will
Mm.
not deviate from. And he is, without a doubt, Frank Castles is a red, white, and blue American. Regardless of what he does, he is, without a doubt, he is still a Marine, simplified, do or die. That is his. That is him.
I see your
And
point.
if you want to go back and read the stuff to understand, there Marvel Comics for a long while did a comic called Nam, and it was about the Vietnam War. And there was a portion of the storyline of that comic that had Frank Castle in Vietnam, and you start to see the beginnings of the mental makeup of what would become the Punisher in that storyline, and it basically leads into that fateful day in Central Park with his family, and what the snapping point was to create the Punisher. Um, so yeah, it is very interesting if you want to do the deep dive on the Punisher, and it's something that Marvel Studios has never done. They kind of touched on it in the John what's his name, Berthal series, um, but they never got close to that. The Punisher is just. I like the character. He's definitely an anti-hero. He's one of the best anti-heroes out there. Um, and I the only sad part is that they're trying to distance themselves from the Punisher because of the Punisher in pop culture, and what I mean by certain law enforcement and certain military organizations using that skull. It's the only problem. And the Punisher is one of those characters that I could definitely see dying off eventually, and it's just going to be, you know, in the old comic bends. Guys like us will be telling our kids years later, like, who the Punisher was, and they're like, who?
I see what you're coming from.
So,
Like, I see what you're saying. Because the story about the punishment, it represents someone who coming from a very high level of morale, what he considered to be what is good, what is right, compared to the level of corruption that the guy was observed. He feel like, you know what, f this, because when I read the comic book about Punisher, even I thought that guy would never exist in today's society because it's hard to find someone who feel like enough is enough.
and you're right, David. But hang on one second. I want to bounce off Rob's last comment about military and police force using it. Chris Kyle. Obviously he was killed in a very tragic way, helping a vet, but he was known as the Legend, and he was wearing on his vest the skull of the Punisher, and he used to literally drive around as SEAL Team 3. Am I right? 3 is it, Robert, or 6? Don't you remember?
I think it was 6, but I could definitely be wrong.
Let's. It was SEAL Team. Let's not fuck up the numbers here. But what I was going to say, they were using even a lot of SWAT teams are using, and I think Rob's right. It is going to die off very slowly. But also, I don't think, except the one movie back in '04, they haven't really done justice with the character at all. For people, upcoming fans, like, let's be honest here, guys. Marvel got blown up with Iron Man and the Avengers. Before that, I go, do you know what Avengers are? Eh? What's an Avengers? Do you know who Captain America is? Who's Captain America? I'm like, kid, I'm gonna fucking slap you sideways. But my point is trying to get to is they haven't really done justice. And is it because of what baggage Punisher brings? Or is it they don't want to go to a dark side? Because Punisher, it is pretty dark. Let's be honest here.
No, it's not like he's
Yeah,
dark. He
but
represents
but they
something like,
Hang on, one at a time. Go ahead, David. You go first.
not that he's dark. If I want to be clear why he gonna be want him to die out. I hate to say that, but I know and F will agree with me. He like the epitome of what true masculinity really is.
Okay, I'll take
If you
that.
look if you look at it that way, because he one of the kind of people that his level of morality, his level of respect, his level of what it considered to be right and wrong, and what should be done in a household, in a family, or what a society is supposed to be. He hold that embodiment so close to him. He feel like if the law will not go protect the people, then I'll be the punisher. It's my job to punish
A
them.
new subscriber.
You get what I'm saying? Because when I go watch the Punisher, even I was thinking, imagine someone like that join the military, and he read that comic book, and he had that same morale like the Punisher. You don't think he's not gonna have that same ideology if he come back to the state and see how the country is going the way it is? That he'll be that vigilante that it's almost like a boogeyman, have his own sense of justice since the country and the government like to let people slide too much, let the evil escape. So, you only take a couple of a break to let him go. Okay, I got both of y'all. Time for me to be the real judge, executioner, the punisher kind of thing. So that's how I look at the punisher. He that dark anti-hero who is creepy at night, watching how those in power get so corrupt and abuses. So you say, okay, it's time you to meet me then. That kind of
Is it
thing.
fair? Is it fair to say that the Punisher's more like he would be like Batman, except he kills?
Yeah,
Is that kind of what the difference is
yeah,
being made here?
yeah. That you hit it on the nail. You hit it on the nail. He's like
That
Batman,
is
but
actually a good analogy. I give Paul credit. That's a great analogy. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
Look
if
at him.
Batman killed. Now, again, according to lore, Batman has killed in the past. Just saying.
Yeah.
Even the 1989 Batman movie, he killed people. So people don't want to admit that, but he did.
But you guys also
Wait,
forget one major thing. He also, at one point, also carried a gun. Batman. Does remember that?
That you talk about the Silver Age. I mean, very early on in the 30s.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I know Wally just came in, so I think he already disagrees. So have at it.
Ollie, you want to jump in for a minute? You want to give your opening thoughts?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
It's good, sir.
I don't need the whole plateau here. Like, just bring me back down. And then-
You hate being on main camera, don't you?
No, it just wasn't warranted. Like, literally. But yeah, no, because I know people like to like sort of co-op, like say like, oh, because Punisher and Batman. Look, these are very much two solidary different characters. I don't really compare the two together in the same senses in any case whatsoever. I mean, granted, people like to compare them because of how far they're willing to go and things like that of that nature. But honestly, no, I wouldn't put in the same senses of Batman and Punisher in the same senses.
I
Because,
agree.
huh?
I agree.
Oh, yeah. Because pretty much let's just be very morally understanding here. Two of these guys lost people that they cared about, but look how both of them went out. You got one guy that's going out as a person that's in an attempt for most of the comics that we've known him for in multiple ways will tell you, I will not kill. And then there's one person that says, I will kill every last motherfucker on this planet that gets in my way. You tell me where's the similarity in that?
There isn't. That's exactly what I stated. I said, is not the Punisher a simple? If Batman killed, would that not be? Is that essentially who the Punisher is? That he doesn't have that.
Well,
that limitation.
Even from that stance, I'll still go to the point of I still disagree, because even if you were to say if Batman killed, I guess in the twisted fantasy of You remember that moment, that Batman, I think it was Batman versus Superman in that beginner clip, and you saw Batman had in that moment of dream glimpse, and he was on the flip side version where the world was all dusty, and Superman was taking care of the whole world and trying to put it in his own realm of his control and everything. And you started seeing him with guns. Even at that point, I still would have said like that is still not comparable. And let me tell you why I say this is because Batman deals at a more higher tech level. And he's very methodical in knowing what you're able to do before most people even know. Which you sit here and say, how does he knows this? But then of course he does a lot of studying. Because that's all he does, because he don't waste time having relationships. So until Punisher gets on that type of tier, then it's like I can't really call them equal. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're both real good tactically, but since Batman has the more tech savviness, I can't get to it.
Well, here's the other problem when we start comparing Batman to the Punisher. Bruce Wayne was 8 years old when he lost his family. The Punisher was a combat veteran, Marine trained, forced recon guy when he lost his family. So I'm gonna go off on an assumption that he was in we'll say his mid-30s when he lost his family. So there's a fundamental difference between those two characters on how their mindset was. I mean, you're talking about an 8-year-old versus a combat experienced individual, someone who's already been taught how to kill. And that's what he reverts to. Where Bruce Wayne, though, yes, he eventually adopts the identity as Batman, he went through a lot of training and stuff that was mostly, for the most part, hand to hand and non lethal. Where prior to the loss of his family, Frank Castle was taught to kill.
Wait a
And
minute.
that's what he
Well,
reverted
Hold
to.
on,
but
hold on, hold on, hold on,
what
hold on, hold on,
universe are
hold on,
you
hold on.
dealing with? Because even with Batman, if he was part of the League of Shadows,
Bingo.
those guys were lethal. He left the League of Shadows, but he was trained up in that. You can't say he was taught these disciplines not to be lethal. That's what the League of Shadows was.
Well, yeah, because I'm not saying he's not trained to be lethal. Yeah, I would agree, because I wouldn't say he wasn't trained to be lethal. He's just trained to make sure he doesn't kill you at the end of the day. He's going to be lethal and breaking your bones, though.
Time out 1 second here. So I did a little Google search as you guys talking. So John Wick didn't he start training until he was older. He hasn't a specific age. I'm trying to find age that don't have no backstory on his younger youth.
9 out of 10, they won't give you no age. Just know 9 out of 10, he was adopted into the whole realm of things, and he was a trained assassin, and there we go.
It says El Sazon de Rosul trained him. That's all the information they're giving us. So Batman has extensive training at a very young age for I don't know how many goddamn years. Same thing with Castle. He has a lot more training because he got in the military at a very young age. And then he went to it depends which version you want to believe in. He also went to FBI afterwards. So maybe Castle has the upper age in training. Anybody?
So you're saying
You know,
Punisher got more training
I-
than John Wick?
Yes.
I don't know what his
if we
background
want
was.
to talk
I
before
wouldn't
he
do
was
this.
military, so I would probably say no.
Okay.
Because
Hang on.
even in
Rob,
the second film, you saw when he went to, I guess the lady who kind of ran the underground operation. You saw young people training, like teenagers or young people are back. So let's assume he started his training maybe 13, 14 years old, as whoever how old those kids were. But if Punisher didn't start his serious training until he joined the military, that had been at least 4 years later.
Rob, you want to say something before? Go ahead.
I was going to jump over to another franchise and use a phrase by a certain captain that says, I'll take experience over training. Combat experience will definitely change an individual. So it depends on how much you can be trained all you want. We can sit here and train all day long, right? But somebody who has had bullets or knives or fists thrown at them is going to change an individual. So, how many times has John Wick really been in the shit versus how many times the Punisher between Vietnam or combat experience and real street side experience? That's, I think, is really going to come down to it. Who's the most lethal is going to be who's had the shit thrown at him most.
And
And
remember, in the
I don't
four
know.
movie,
I
they
don't know
describe.
if we've
And
seen
no, hold
enough
on.
of John Wick's past to justify that.
And I'm glad
but
you
we
mentioned
saw
that
his
because
present though.
in the four movie, they described some of the stuff he had to go through to be on the top of the food chain at being the best assassin. So, if they were to make a TV series of John Wick of all the hits he done, and find out he did over 100, over 1,000 plus hits, and what he had to go through, like Andy Elf said, realize it will change you. And we trained to be an assassin, and you have done so many hits for the many years. You know what he did and how he did it. Because people of high society who want to get people taken out will pay good money, and they will describe how you want them to take it out. In some way, it kind of want to make you want to lose your lunch and your dinner and your tomorrow breakfast all at one time. I don't want to go into the head of the wealthy and the rich who are so deprived of humanity and they want to get you taken out. They want you it done to you in a certain way. I'm like, I don't want to know none of that because we have watched and seen stuff about movie how hire hitmen who have done nothing but killing throughout their entire career. They have no emotions. That's all they know, and they will
Okay, I'm gonna
and they will chase you all over the globe, literally.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this for a second here. We added Batman. I'll give you guys that. I'll give you guys a franchise that is dear to my heart because I have the tattoo on my arm. Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
I'm
That
gonna throw. Hey, Rob, I see Rob's fucking face. I'm like, son of a fucking bitch. He goes,
that's two organizations competing each other. Assassin's Creed from one organization, then John Wick from another organization. Which
that's
one's
why I'm
more darker?
throwing that in there.
That there's no way of comparing. To be honest, the realm of assassin is a realm I don't want to live in. You don't know what they go through mentally speaking. If they even, well, I say they're not human no more. You train to hold on. Let me be realistically real. Peter and I, we have a background in mixed martial art, but we also have done our homework. There's some level of martial art that goes so far into the deep end. It's like you're entering a black hole. Once you enter that black hole, there's nowhere coming out of that black hole. You are there with the demon that resides in that black hole.
All right, hang on
So,
there. I want to read this comment really fast because Eric has a good point here.
uh-oh.
So, Batman versus Gr-
Grendel.
Grando
Grendel.
two part. I'm not familiar with the story as much of that one, but I got a feeling Rob does because I know Rob very well.
Unfortunately, no. I'm familiar with it, but I've never read any of the stuff involving Grendel. But if what I understand, Grendel is an assassin type character. I'm familiar with the character. I know what it looks like. I've never read anything about Grendel or with Grendel. But I think it's going to be it's probably a story about the difference between someone who's willing to kill versus somebody who's not willing to kill, and the lengths they're going to go to defeat the opponent without violating their morals, or the extent they're willing to go to win. Um, and yeah, I need to read it.
What I'm
I
I'm
doing,
want
I'm
to go
actually
saying,
back
surprised.
to
I
a
know you're a huge Batman fan.
I mean, I'm a decent Batman fan. I'm not well, yeah, I am a huge Batman fan. As I look around and I see bats all over the place. Uh, I mean, I haven't read everything, but there, it's. I'll tell you this. this explains everything about the problem with Batman's no kill. You go and look at the confrontation that Batman had with Jason Todd post Resurrection, and basically the Red Hood storyline. And it's when Jason Todd comes back. He is the Red Hood now, and longest short of it is, it was the Joker that killed Jason Todd. They have the Joker right there, and he's like, "Why don't we kill him? Why? Why don't we kill him? He has killed so many people. Why don't we kill him?" And Batman cannot do it because he has this moral compass. And the problem is, Batman comes back and says, "Oh, I would so much love to kill this guy, but the moment I kill him, I become him, and that's why I won't." And as far as Batman and his no kill, that is why.
And that's why he's the most
And
difficult
so,
character. He's the most difficult character because you're right.
yeah,
Joker have killed so many people,
But
and
if you add, I'm gonna add a little salt to this.
oh boy,
If you watch Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, it says Batman actually kills the Joker by accident.
Keyword accident. That's not really like he really wanted to though.
But he
And
needs to
then
I
die.
mean,
there's another, like, okay, like for instance, let's say like there's a comic, right? There's a comic where the Joker would kill Spider-Man. I mean, not Spider-Man. I'm stupid. Superman. I think it's Lois Lane, or neither. It was the child that they had, and when or he did something. I forgot what
you're
exactly he did at that
you're
point.
referring to the setup of Injustice, the video game. But yes,
Yeah,
the
so he did something
Joker.
in that notion, and then in the comic it said when he was gonna take the Joker to prison, but then the moment when the Joker has said that he's planning on, whenever Superman's child comes to life, he's planning on doing some things to that child and everything else, and then that's when he decided to snap his neck, and I'm like, okay, enough is enough right there. But then and at that point he chosen to just send himself to prison. So again, it's like, I think there is a certain extent. I mean, granted, the thing that's such a, and I think this is a bad deal, especially if you're a Batman fan and you think to yourself, like, wait a minute, this is the time that you snap his neck? This is the time you kill him? At this point, all for Superman? The same ninja that you're pretty much about to drop and kill him if he did something nuclear to the world? Okay. Okay.
because he understands because his friendship with Superman has gotten to a level whereby even he said he had to pitch himself. No, he can't even let that because Superman will not even control himself.
But then,
Superman is.
oh, go, sorry.
Let's look at it. Let me be logical about it. Who you prefer to lose is cool in that realm? Superman or Batman?
Batman easily.
Batman had a temperament of okay. Let me make this one mistake, and that is Superman. On the other hand, you kill his son, the whole world is doomed because he might change his rationale. Even Superman has questioned Batman morale, like how can you keep up with this? Do not kill principle. Well, a lot
Also,
of
you forget one thing, David. If Superman loses his shit, it's not a lot of things that can stop him. The only person who can stop him is Batman, technically, because he has the kryptonite. Anybody
and
else is like, we're fucked. And
so
there's a lore out there that shows Superman as a villain. Remember that.
I
Oh yeah,
know.
it's
So
Lords. But the thing is, because let me add to this, because I'll say this though, right? From that one hand that I just brought down, you would say, like, pretty much like I said before, right? It's like, well, you pretty much lost someone close to you, but then it's like, oh, well, you didn't choose to kill then. But it's like, okay, but in that comic version, you chose to kill then. But I think at that point, the reason why, the significance of why he did it in the comic in that way was because in that point, when the Joker said what he said, I think in that same sense, it's like there's no way in hell Batman would allow someone close to him, even as much as he cares, even if he has this weird relationship with Superman, to have someone deal with the same thing he dealt with. And then that's why he's like, nope, cut it right here. And then call it that.
and Batman realized because he understood because Superman did not go through what he go through. They both had two different paths, and yet Batman is a person who think 20 to 100 steps ahead. He understand what it can make Superman do if that ever happened to him. So that's why he was like, I'm the one who couldn't deal with this mess. I let this one go far too long. Whereby it's best for me to end it than go to jail. Even Superman want to break him out. He said, there's no point in me breaking me out because they go defeat the purpose. He said, I'm shielding you from going through what I grew up dealing with for years. That type
Right.
of resolve. uh, Remember that I say PTSD? It can do something to a person. But imagine you have ton of that add upon that after a while. Whereby you almost like you got no emotion. And you want to compare someone like Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, to someone who grew up in the realm of assassination, grew up in the realm of assassin. They train these people from youth. You have to
So
perfect their
let's say, for
craft.
argument's sakes, John Wick was raised as an infant, as assassin. Then he definitely has the upper edge on this point because he doesn't know pain or anything. He just been beat the shit out of his life. Only thing he knows is one thing: kill the target. And that's it.
Can I go back to a point that
Yeah, go ahead.
anybody else raised? He talked about the moral compass of the Punisher, but at least from what I observed from the movie franchise, the John Wick movie franchise, I took John Wick to be very moral.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he didn't go after innocent people, right? No one who was innocent. Like I said, all that stuff that was going on seemed to happen within that assassin's world. But as far as trying to avoid calamity, I don't even think he even fire weapons into a crowd. Like he's so accurate with his firing of weapons, he would hit the guys who were firing at him, but he wouldn't just blindly just scatter a room with gunfire with innocent
Yeah.
people. Even I think scenes when they were in the clubs and whatnot, it was mostly hand to hand combat with the people he was going with, but he wasn't reckless with his stuff. So as much as we want to say Punisher has a moral code, I always took John Wick and there was an assassin's code, and John Wick maybe in a lot of ways exemplified that, with the exception of him doing the stuff at the hotel. But outside of that, I thought he was a very moral. So I think both of them have a pretty high moral character. John wasn't looking to take out anybody who an innocent person. And all those killings, he didn't take out, I don't think, one person out like that. So I just wanted to kind of bring that in because I think the fact that they both operate off some sort of code is something that I think also makes them similar.
I totally
And
agree
then
with that
I'll
one.
even go further because if you think about this too, when you think about an assassin, you always think to yourself one thing: always go for the clean kill. Do not bring more attention to you. And that's the one thing. So it's like you always got to be way more precise and not, trying to drop down civilians just to say you just drop a body. So that's one of the main things right there. And then two, you also got to think about this too. John had a lot of relationships with other assassins in there in the same sense. So in a lot of senses too, you think to yourself, these guys, you think, hey, they're supposed to follow more code, like, whoop. But guess what? Think about the first movie. That guy that was the sniper, the same character, the same actor that played the Green Goblin, he chose to do what? Instead of staying out of it, what he did, he got involved. And you're an assassin. You're supposed to stay out of that. You're supposed to be unbiased. But yeah, you got involved. You got biased. And guess what? It cost him his life. And he paid the price. But John's a good friend. But I guess that's how crazy it is, because as much as we do not know a lot of these assassins' past and stories, but there's something there just based upon the just the constant outgoing and everything. Because think about how much people really wanted John's head, not just for the simple fact of those getting paid, but the fact of just the envy. People really wanted John's head because because his titlement, who he is, and knowing what that'll do for the next person coming on up, it'll just be over the top, which is why he is who he is.
Let me ask you guys a quick question here. So let's say for pretend for a minute, if John Wick had a code, we don't know if he does or does not. How would it change the scenario? You think?
A code of what? Because like I said, I think he does have a code, a pretty high moral one, and especially in the world that he's in. Like I said, it might have been higher than the ones who, as Wilder was saying, they was like, look, for the money, not even looking into the situation as to why everything escalated. Because I think everybody realized that in there was like, oh man, that son screwed up. And again, everybody could have been like, look, we could have left it right there, let them settle it. That's an internal matter, whatever, and be done with it. But everybody got involved everyone got involved at the and it just escalated from there. So I think he does have a code.
So
I would say he does have a code, but the thing is, if you ever pay attention to the first movie and the second movie, it have been found on how he lived by that particular code, and he was saying how he was brought into the organization, he was taught the code, and he had to follow the code, and he finally understood with that he had to live by the code, but everybody don't want to live by the code. Then when one or two person break the code, all of a sudden you let them slide or let them get away with it without holding them consequential to the code. You get what I'm saying? You hire this guy for multiple hits, a lot of underground balls, a lot of big executives, a lot of people who can reach out to their representative of their corporation or whatever it is. They hire him to do a job that no one would take. And he have done so many jobs. It get to a point where he choose one that he want you to retire. Then for some apparent reason, he followed the code of ethics, but also suddenly everyone want to say, well, it doesn't apply to me. But that's how the movie was looking like. It was looking like as if everybody want to bend the rule for themselves. So there's the code of ethics John Wick did have. It's just that his code of ethics is kind of tricky to understand where his trust and his legal rationale lies on. Because even though I was going to look into my head, I've seen the first movie, I've seen the second one, I've seen the third, I've seen the fourth. What is his code is based on? Yeah, no innocent bystander. They had nothing to do with it. Yeah, I get that. But what other did that allow him not to kill other people? Like what is classified? Do not kill. Not hard to find.
Let me introduce something else here, because again, it's very difficult to compare franchises, and it's even harder when you compare franchises that have evolved over time. Again, there's one consistent with John Wick. Well, we've had 3 or 4 iterations of the Punisher. Now, from what I understand, again, I was kind of doing the Cliff's Notes version before I came on here. I guess the Netflix, the TV series Punisher. This guy apparently fought Daredevil to like a standstill. Now, Daredevil is considered one of the greatest fighters in Marvel. Top 5, depending on the list, top 5, if not top 3. Cap is up there, and you got Taskmaster, and you got Shang-Chi and whatnot. But Daredevil's right up there, and apparently he was able to go toe-to-toe with Daredevil, who is essentially an enhanced being in that universe. He also fought Fisk, Kingpin, who is also a very skilled fighter in that Marvel universe. He doesn't look it, but he's got some gumption. So if you're gonna take like the MCU universe and add that dimension to it, John Wick has never fought anybody like that. So could we say that even in a hand-to-hand, if he can hold his own against Daredevil, then do you think John Wick could really face up to that? But we wouldn't know because, again, he's in a different – there are no superpowered beings in that world that John Wick is in, but could that also be an advantage for the Punisher?
Well, real quick, so let me come in with the last statement and then with the statement you brought up. So just to add on to the last piece of statement that you asked about his moral code, John Wick's profession, it was built on a code. So yeah, he had a code. But the thing is, though, I think it was, if it's not the third, but the fourth movie, one or the other, he broke the code because you were never supposed to kill no one on the grounds of the hotel.
Oh,
Mm.
Yes,
you are
yes.
100% right. I
No,
totally forgot about that.
yeah, I mentioned that. I mentioned that. That was the only the only break that
Yes,
he
but
had.
yeah, but other than that, he always had a code because any particular association in the realms of his assassination colony, he pretty much had a line to anyone that he subjugated himself to that allowed to take him in. So no matter what, it was always a thing. But even in that same sense, it's like again, it just go back to what I was saying earlier because in a lot of cases, John Wick, no matter what, if he's just one guy, just notice one thing about each and every one of these movies. A lot of people pay the price for him, even though he's just one guy. They could have just thrown him all the way, and yet they didn't. So again, it's like as much as these people are hard, rigid, and just really just in it for themselves in a sense, they all have to. They all know they have to pay some type of respect for this kid, even if they're the ones that trained him, and he knew what he knew getting into this business. But yeah, it's one of those things. Um. Oh yeah. Well, EJ, if you're still here, real quick, if you're still here, is your logo the gray and black with the dudes on it? I'm checking Facebook right now. But let
Well,
me know.
if you can, I'm also an admin there, so I'm gonna see if I can send it to you too. But you can go ahead.
All right. But one other thing is, so yeah, coming to the previous question. Is it an advantage or a disadvantage? How pretty much for Punisher and the level of what he has to deal with on a daily basis. So for me personally, when we talk about these types of battles and warfare, granted, yes, you can sit here and say when Punisher deals with these higher level entities, it sort of changes the battle in the sense of, well, who can really go out there and really do some combat because it's pretty much Punisher versus Wick, and they're in different space cycles overall. And the issue is that here's how I just want to say this. The issue is, as much as you want to sit there and say this, but I'll say this, right? If we're talking about a fair balanced conversation argument as far as like in a battle between the two, I would at least say you cannot put Punisher, like you have to strip a lot of Punisher's like feats of or dealings with supernatural beings and keep it forward as far as just human. But let's say we choose to push the bar and say no, let's keep it there, right? All right, so let's say we put John Wick in the same type of universe, and he's out here being this assassin and everything else. Let's be honest. If you were to sit here and say John Wick, comic book entry, what like when you look at certain powers and certain mentalities that he already has, I mean, John Wick has a lot of things. He has peak reflexes, superhuman durability, strength, all these other things, components, and you master, technician, and all these other things. When you think about some of those things, the easiest close sentiments of people you think about Batman's, Nightwings, all these other these characters have this. Daredevil, right? The massive reflex. So a lot of these characters have these, and they're at just peak human ability. So I would think in a world like that, if you were to put John Wick in it, he would pretty much be right there in comparison. So from that perspective, it's not really far fetched. It's like, hey, it all really depends on how you sell the story. So other than that, you go right back to the skill sets.
Hmm.
Can I take this one up because as I'm listening to Wally and you break it down the lineup from fighting style, skill, code of ethics, and discipline. I'm glad when Army F talk about time length of certain from training to the combat field. I gotta take that into consideration. Fighting from the realm of the assassin is almost as if they give you on the field experience. They're putting you to the point whereby they teach you how to numb yourself when it comes to taking a life and throw you out there to earn your position, to earn your ranking. That's a whole nother ballgame. We have seen all type of movies similar to John Wick. You have seen Ninja Assassin. What other movie beside that? The Assassin Creed. We have seen all type of hitman movie where these people are coming from a huge underground organization that is global. Keyword global. So you might say you may have a hit for John Wick and the person is in New Zealand or in Australia. You gotta be done at a certain time, certain place, certain venue. This how it gotta be done. He take the job. If he doesn't complete the job, he end up imagine if he doesn't complete the job, he end up being a hit. How many times in the military when people fail the mission, they get a life taken out? Okay,
I mean,
okay, okay,
the
okay then.
mission is. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but it don't really say okay, you failed it for taking your life. Is
Oh
it?
no, I mean, you'd have to really screw up to get your life taken away from you in the military.
I get it.
Otherwise, I mean, but to a certain degree, a dishonorable discharge is basically having your life taken away from you. You're still alive, but
He's still
you.
alive, yeah, but in John Wick world, there's no option. You sign up, you join this program, your job is to take someone out or you be taken out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a very different lifestyle.
So if I remember correctly, did they have time for PTSD in that type of lifestyle?
Oh, probably not.
They got time to fix your emotion in that kind of lifestyle? Are you considered a
Probably
human
not.
being? Hold on. In that realm of assassin, are you considered a human being or a weapon?
Probably considered a weapon.
Who? John Wicks or
So
Punishers?
John Wick. So if John Wick considered to be a weapon, do weapon have emotion?
Good question. And from that perspective, no, Whitman don't, but he does shows it.
He does show it, but he treated it as a weapon, meaning your job is to just kill and shut the F up.
Pretty much.
Yeah, from that
I
standpoint.
don't care how you had to do it. If I say cut off his tongue, take off his eye, it had to be done that way. If I say shot him in four angles of his body, however how I want him to be killed, it had to be done that way. Just get the job done, take the tab, get the money, get it done, and go back. When I need you again, I got something for you. That's
I mean,
like an epitome. That's an epitome of someone who would not trained not to be a human. Your your life is just to kill people, literally. Some of these assassins, it become a fetish, but they're not number one. He is number one. He Baba Yaga. He the boogeyman. They got all kind of names for this guy. The Green Reaper. Who worked in the Green Reaper? Son of Satan.
I mean, I don't recall anything ever being said about the Punisher in the same sense. So that's, I mean, that it would be very interesting to see these two in the same universe and the way they're viewed. Um, and that might be the same. That might be the thing that differentiates the two. The presence. John Wick being known as the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. I mean, most people
The
shit their
Green Reaper.
pants just at yeah, exactly. At the mention of, oh God, you got who coming after you? Oh, good Lord. But But at the same time, the Punisher, it's kind of like, all right, we're gonna kill this mother effer, and then they're the ones that get dropped. But maybe John Wick's got a better PR firm working for him than the Punisher, and that's the difference.
Yeah, you funny.
So,
You have been going deep in my head looking at all the 4 movies in detail. And I had to picture why all these underground crime boss, when you mention his name, either want to pee on themselves, crap on themselves, they got the
yep,
cold sweat, they're who say look they're like they got a
yeah,
panic attack. How you a crime boss and one name give you anxiety, make you panic, make you look for a exit plan. I didn't think of vacation now. I don't need to be here right now. Like you gotta hide in the desert for you not to find you? Dude, how far you gotta go hide? You gotta build a shack somewhere in the desert so the sand cover no one can see where you're coming from. So you know that he cannot find you in that area and he come look for you out in that far end of the world? Like and they say if they give him a job, there's nowhere to hide in this world. Meaning he go to find you. Like what you say? If I hide in the sewer, he'll find me. If I hide in the swamp with all the alligator in a hunt, he will find me. If I move to the North Pole in the Eskimo with the white grizzly polar bear, he will find me. Did I dig and hide underground with some underground building nobody never heard of? You do for like seriously, how far do you have to go to hide from that kind of man?
So you would
I will,
certainly give, I guess, John Wick the edge in terms of if the scenario is John Wick has to assassinate the Punisher versus the Punisher has to go after John Wick. Let's say he assumes or whatever that John Wick is somebody that needs to be taken down, and the Punisher's going after John Wick. What
I would
scenario then?
so.
And
Good
versus
luck.
them meeting, because I think we might have led this conversation with if they just so happen to meet.
But
Well, I'm
didn't
not
did
saying.
What's the
did it in the
scenario?
third movie he had a bunch of puncher like dude coming after him and he did them dirty?
But let's be mindful, right? Because Miss Benny did bring up something that's pretty smart. Because let's be honest, we can talk about if they two were to meet up, but everyone has their own scenarios of how they would see this combat being done. But I think when we're talking about comparisons and let alone, but like who's better on paper, because that's really what we're talking about here. Who's better on paper? Then
pretty
you have to
much.
compare and contrast. Like right now, like what we just talked about right now, the entitlement and of who your name is. Yes, I give that to John Wick because his name is very well like, oh yeah, I'm not fucking with him and anything he has.
Not fucking. You're not mentioning his name. Period.
Same way. It's just you're just not doing it. You're just not doing it. Whereas Punisher, aka Frank Castle, he was just a casualty. That's how they look at him. It was like, hey, you did what you did. Don't be surprised what comes to you. They didn't get him like the thing. Think about how far he had to go. All the connections you have, and no one can give you nothing. But all the connections John Wick has, and he's flooded with connections and survivability. Okay, that make sense. See, John Wick is not a casualty. He's someone that they have no choice but to keep. And the thing is, he's on his way out. You would think you build the next assassin. No, you can't build the next John Wick. You just can't. You can't. That's the thing. So when it comes to title and let alone just prestige, yeah, John Wick wins in that battle. But I'm glad, but I want to keep this going, right? Because if you all had to give Punisher and John Wick a score on fighting skills, what would you give them? I think this is where we start narrowing down. Like, let's start giving scores. Like, just noticing what they've done, TV shows, like whatever they have. when you look at them being done, what would the score be in fighting style?
I mean, we'd have to break down the categories. Um, and I would think the first couple of categories I'd think of is hand-to-hand combat, close arms combat, long range combat, marksmanship, and improvisation. I mean, those first 5 categories.
Well, and that's my whole point. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you had to think about everything of that nature, just off the TV shows and everything else you can think of that they both have, then you correlate that into one score. Give me that score.
Well, see, it may not be fair though, but based on what you just said earlier, because you said you have to take the enhanced characters out of it, right?
Well,
So if I said
no.
earlier that Punisher stood toe to toe with Daredevil, that to me trumps anything that John Wick has ever done in any franchise of or any of his movies.
Let's be very mindful. Daredevil is only superhuman level. He's not like above peak level. He's only superhuman level. So technically, that's fair matchup. If we're talking about now, you talking about like, oh, well, Punisher stand up to, Superman, and he was able to take every blow. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking different conversation. But no,
But I'm saying, but Daredevil, you would give Daredevil amongst the highest ever, right? I mean, is he in your top
here's
five?
the reason why I said I won't. Because notice what I
Is he
said
in your top
earlier.
5 Marvel fighters?
As far as peak human, you would consider that because of just his skill set. Because here's the one thing that Daredevil does have, but still to this day, Punisher still pushed through, and that is the senses. Like, even if he's blind, he still can sense you, foot wise, whatever else. But the thing is, notice what I said about this, right? I did said that just like Daredevil, John Wick also has what? Has peak reflex. So they both have that. So my thing is, so when you're saying at the top, again, that's still equal standpoint because you have that type of peak necessity.
But I mean, he doesn't have acrobatics.
No.
Granted, you're right. He don't have acrobatics. I'll give you that part. But he does still. But even then, but
and
even
it's
as
not just
someone
the
that's with
acrobatics. He
acrobatics,
puts it's not just the acrobatics. He incorporates that acrobatics into his fighting style.
Hey, look, and again, I agree to that notion as well. But I'll say this: still, even in someone like that, to even being taken down that way, I mean, I can sit here and look at this. Okay, I'll even give it. Okay, let me watch this. I'll give a switch. If you had to think about this to a sense of just combat style, like, because I can't remember a scene that much, but in the sense of just like body wise and everything else, like I can definitely tell you, like John Wick is morally like more of a stationary guy. Like, he's not gonna do too much of the acrobatic styles, all that, because he's mostly walking like a banged up dude, anyways. But pretty much so as Punisher is. He's not some acrobatic dude either. So my thing is, from looking at that, if you're comparing these two guys, I believe just as far as their technical skills and being methodical within shooting and knowing where you're gonna come in position, he's gonna catch you eventually. And if Punisher can do that with Daredevil, so is John Wick.
And the thing is, John Wick had a whole entire assassin league after. Dude, they emptied the top 100. That didn't work. They even hire more assassins and anyone willing to gloat to say they took in the head of John Wick. Like, look at what he had to go through. They sent their private army guys against this guy. How many? Okay, if you were to do a body count kill for the first 4 movies until he actually died after one of his final battle, how many people he took out? Literally.
Forget that. Let's just be very mindful here. Look who they had to call just to be able to try to take him out.
The best of 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 the best. Like, dude, you empty your top 100, and you know better that the top 100 cannot come, but yet you try to see if the top 100 can take him out. How you run an assassin business, and you send your top 100 to a number one who would consider to be a boogeyman? That's a loss right there, not a win. Because if you provoke him and take out your top 100, you have to wait how many years to get another top 100 who are legit. Assassins not easy to replace these days, if you ask me. And you have all type of weirdo
But not
assassins.
all of those assassins, though, are elite level fighters. Let's be also honest. Also, each one of these assassins did things in their own way. Some of those guys worked at distance. Some of those guys, I mean, anybody who went hand to hand with them, they got taken out pretty easily. So again, a lot of these guys get, again. So not every assassin is skilled in hand to hand combat. But all
And
I
I'm
know
glad
is
you said that. Everyone hand in hand got taken out. Everyone from a distance got taken out.
right. I'm just saying the fact you said your top 100, but again, each assassin is going to be skilled in one thing. One assassin, he might be good just with poisoning food or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, not everybody is meant for to be trading blows with somebody. But again, Punisher.
he got a point there. You got a point
Again,
there.
Punisher. Again, Daredevil, and also Fisk. Fisk is at least on a human level a very deceptively good fighter. In fact, people look at his size as like, oh, this guy, he's not that skilled, but he gets down.
Yeah, but the problem with Fist is past the human level.
I'm just saying, and Punisher. I'm saying, and Punisher went toe to toe with him as well. So again, you're talking about human beings at the elite status. He was able to certainly hold his own against those those people.
And I understand, but that's why I also come in and on that pivot and said, but let's remember too. I also said this, right? When we talked about, do we give the nod over to Punisher for the simple fact that he had to deal with all these other people? But I said the same thing. If you put John Wick in a comic book entry and you say to yourself, okay, let's say you have the understanding that John Wick is on par or equally in some form of senses somewhere around the part of what he can do, right? Well, then if that's the case, then he will equally be able to compete. So that's what I'm saying. It's sort of like that. That's a pivot of neither. If you add, because if you add, then you have to sit here and put him in the same universe and say to yourself, okay, well, you see how both of these guys go. Both of these guys can get bloodied and everything else and still keep on going. I mean, hey, you would technically give it to John Wick that he can compete the same way in that same condition. Well, not in the same condition, but in some senses.
So again, you to me that you're making a I would even call it a logical leap. But again, I can only go on what I've seen.
I understand that, but that's the point. If we're only basing upon what we see, then you would have to pivot Punisher out of the realms of dealing with those higher level beings, and only in the realms of people that are peak human. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to bottle it or you need to open it. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you open it, then I have to open it for John Wick in that same sense of that comic book entry.
Right. I mean, obviously they got to meet somewhere. Obviously, there has to be a common or neutral ground where they meet.
New York City.
I don't know if that world's going to be either non-enhanced beings or everyone's on the same level or what have you. So yeah, I mean, but this is the art that we're talking about. How much are you going to bring the Punisher down or elevate John Wick or what have you? I mean, that's what we're.
Here's a question for everybody: do you guys think maybe it could have been a draw?
I don't know.
See, that's why this is why I was technically asked. Like, again, when we're talking about fighting styles, what would you just give them a score? Now, I'll say this, right, just to be fair, right. So, based upon what Bennett was bringing up, as far as, well, okay, he faced the top 100, but most of the top 100s are very much different in styles, and you got to admit that is true, because in most cases, there's some that are snipers, there's some that are just straight up, handgun combaters. And then there's those that actually have swords and other weaponry like that. So it all depends on which type of assassin you're dealing with and how they move and how they choose to, make their strikes and make their combatable decisions. So you have to make sure you have to think about those things overall in those senses. So from that perspective, I would sit here and say, because this is why the reason why I asked, right? And let me tell you why I made that question up. Because if you go to Marvel, they'll tell you the skill set of these characters and how far they go. And right now, technically, by Marvel standpoint, they gave Frank Castle, aka Punisher, a 6. That's what I'm saying. So
6
from
out of
that
6 out of 7.
perspective,
This scale goes to 7 or 9. I keep forgetting.
well, it's 6 out of 10. So that's why they said so 6.
It's 6
so
out of 10.
That's low.
Yeah.
I thought it was a 7. I thought 7 was the high on Marvel scale. I thought 7 was the highest.
Well, you always go to 10, but so that's why I always say like that would be 6 out of 10. Because it will go to 10, like especially depending on certain people, it will go to 10. So that's what I'm saying. Like from Marvel standpoint, they're saying that if Punisher is 6 out of 10, then it's like, okay, well, that's what I'm trying to see. Like, okay, well, where would you land, John Wick on that same scale?
Good question.
And because you got to think about it, because there's energy, which we all know they're both ones. They're tied on that department. There's fighting skills. That all depends on how you look at that.
It's a 7.
Show me the website.
Again, the way they do it is
I'm
different.
getting-
So, like for example, if you are a 7 on the Marvel scale, that means that you are a master of all forms of combat. If you are a 6, you are a master of several forms of combat. If you are a 5, you are a master of one form of combat. So if they're going to say the Punisher is a 6, he doesn't know everything. I don't think so. Again, I would think you put Shang-Chi in a 7 category.
Well, yeah. But my thing, that's what I'm saying. Like Punisher, where he's at, that's what I'm saying. Because I think both of them got around as much of a fighting style, give or take. So if we're just talking about just fighting styles, right? If you're comparing on that scale, like how much components of fighting styles they have, then technically John will go outmatch him because the amount of people that he's dealt with in multiple different fighting disciplines, that would be a lot. And I can only count so much of how much fighting disciplines plus the many people that he's dealt with within his time of being an assassin he would have. So that's a give and pull.
From what I saw from the John Wick series, he's really, I guess it's an improvised type of style. But they even say in the lead up, it's a blend of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Krav Maga is mostly what he's most proficient in, and then he'll improvise on some stuff. So
because I know it's jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga. Yeah, because Krav Maga, usually on Krav Maga, you would have to. So, all right, so look, I'll do this, right? In that sense, because I don't have everything in front of me, and we can be on this forever. Let's just put John on a 5. Because I think cause I did look up Punishers, and I know Punisher got a decent amount of considerable fighting styles. So I'll put John at 5.
No joke, I really thought the Punisher was probably one of the strongest Marvel's characters with no powers.
He is one of them, yeah.
Yeah, you can't really count what's his name, Iron Man, because he makes his tech. Iron
Man's by tech, so don't count.
Forget that. I'm talking about hand-to-hand weapons, Rambo shit style, fuck shit up, blow shit up, you ask questions later, and get the fuck out of there before you get caught, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I see where Mr. Bennett. Where is it? All right, I pulled up stats from the Punisher. It's from the comic vein. But yeah, for most stuff, intelligence, speed, strength, durability, Punisher is a 2. Energy projection, of course, he's bottomed out at a 1. But fighting skill, he's a 6 out of 7. And these skills these stats are all out of 7. So the Punisher is a formidable. Dude, this fucking dude can fuck you up. Yes, thank you. Words, they're really tough. All right, this dude can fuck you up 6 ways to
I don't
Sunday.
know why they still at 7. That's why I like to do it at 10, but okay.
But I don't know. It's what they.
If it's mostly peak human stuff, then I guess I can understand. Because then after that, if you're beyond peak human, then of course you would probably reach 10, the 8s, 9s, and 10s. But yeah.
You know what? Let's get somebody who knows a little about his background. Bossman, can you jump in here for a minute because we need a Marine up here?
Oh,
Oh, so don't start. Don't start.
Oh, I'm going to start shit. I love
Don't
starting.
start.
oh, here we go.
Shout out to Marcus. Marcus is in the back. Marcus is in the chat also tonight. I know he's military. So the question I raised earlier, it seemed like nobody wants to answer. Even I tried to
Oh, what
push
was the
Angry
question?
Elf to an extent, but everyone talks about special forces training and hand-to-hand combat or whatnot. But I have no scale for what that even means. Are these guys that good? Are they that elite? Can a Navy SEAL take out a Delta Force guy or whatever? Are there levels to this? And again, I understand that certain things may need to be secret because you shouldn't be letting your opponents know how good you are. Like I said, I've known for years like the Israeli forces. I hear those guys are those are guys you don't want to mess with. But as far as Marine Special Forces, I don't know what that translates to. Could that guy get in an octagon and mess some people up? What is the this means? Or if you're going to be dependent on your weapons 95% of the time, then does it even matter? These skills you have. How realistic are you going to use those in a combat situation to begin with? So again, to me, that's still a little gray area for me in terms of all these guys. We had Mandrell on a couple weeks ago and whatnot, but he was already into the martial arts stuff. He was born into it. His father, his parent, his relatives, he studied martial arts since he could remember, boxed all professionally. So he had game going into the thing. So I don't know what so I don't know how to measure that when you talk about special forces combat training or whatever. I don't know what that means.
Again, I mean, yeah, I did 20 years. I know some hand-to-hand combat, but what all these other individuals, all these other entities throughout across the DoD know, I can't answer that. I would say the higher you up the tier you are, the more you know how to do with your hands and your feet and stuff. So
Yeah. So real quick, cause I'm looking at another website pushed on Punisher. So they go a little bit in depth on his skill set. So until I see like a more cleanup thing, Punisher is definitely up there. He's definitely up there because the styles that they're talking about, he's definitely up there.
I know
So
Punisher was up there pretty high, but I didn't know how high he was.
Well, the thing
he's
is,
up there. I say it's like because based upon I don't want to butcher the names of these art styles, but pretty much mostly the art styles that he learned is morely from Japan, give or take, from the Asian region. But like he has pretty much several martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, and then of course
I
we
would
go
think
into
the
that.
Marine do crack my tag and some kind of thing. That's almost like who practical? Was it the Russian or something? It's like a close quarter combat style that you literally to use the less movement. Because if you talk about Japan, Japan have karate, they got ninjutsu, and they got some other styles as well. But from the League of Assassins, there's all kind of style they have art of killing, and the fact that you see John Wick portraying that he knows too many different style of fighting that all up in his arsenal, so you can't flow with the best of them. Either gun, it was knife, it was samurai katana, or bare hand. He know exactly what to do, and he did it without even thinking twice. This is why I do think will be a hard discussion because you're comparing people with two different realms. One who's a decorated marine.
Well,
According to Angry Elf, he had been
I'm
on
about to
multiple
add to
tours,
that real
which is
quick.
understandable. Yet I give him props for that. You talk about a guy who have been thrown out there since youth, since he joined the League of Assassins, just killing people left and right across the globe in ways you can even heard of. He's taking jobs that no one wanted to take. They thought there was no way out, there was no one can survive that job, and he actually did it. They say he's the man who keep himself highly prepared. If he's given a job to take you out, don't think he didn't study you.
true.
So real quick, let me add to this. So I'm reading something in this, right, and this isn't like implied, but it's not quote unquote confirmed as far as I know. But it says, right, if you guys remember, John Wick showed a tattoo across his back, in the Latin phrase of, don't want to say that correctly, but in the English terms, it says "Fortune favors the bold," which is implied that he once served in the U.S. Marines Corps. But quote unquote, from this perspective where I'm reading it from, they saying that it's not confirmed. But if that is possibly true, then he has some type of special ops command division type branch of training. So then you would say, okay, he's somewhat on par.
From my understanding, John Wick was raised and and trained as an assassin.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not
no, I'm just
aware.
saying it was implied. That I'm not saying it's true yet.
I mean, implied. Okay.
It's
I
a, it's a
wouldn't
good
doubt
it's
the
a good
level
death
of
match.
training. I'm just, and I mean, a tattoo is a tattoo is a tattoo. Um, Again, I always took John Wick as a highly trained civilian versus, you know, Punisher did however many years, at least 3 tours in Vietnam. So how long was a tour?
Um, I
I
won't
think
consider
he did
John
at
Wick a
least
civilian.
15 years.
I would never
Don't
consider
forget,
John Wick a civilian. 'Cause he don't act like a human being.
Well,
Well,
not
there's that too.
anymore.
this is never gonna go back and forth all day long. I don't think we can find a winner.
Yeah, I think we fought to a
To
to a
stalemate.
Flip a coin.
standstill.
Hey, somebody grab a quarter. Flip a coin. I call heads.
Hang on.
Tails.
You know what?
I'm gonna be honest.
Here.
I mean, but look,
You've reached your limit
actually,
on
you're not.
talking. Shut the fuck up.
This guy.
All right. Let's get our final thoughts and let's get the hell out of here. Let's see you guys came in. David, Angry Elf, Paul Wally. And I'll close our ass out.
I'll make it short, simple. Ladies and gentlemen, did the score. John Wick 1. Sorry, Punisher 0. Next. What do you want me to say? There's nothing more. According to the button, my limit to talk is over, so I give you the score. Next versus.
I got to give it to the Punisher. I'm sorry. I feel deep down inside, Frank would call fight all the way to the end. These two are picking each other until one of them dies, and I think at the end of it, it's going to be the Punisher. I think it's going to be a bloody draw, and Punisher wins out by a hair. That's it.
I may lean Punisher also. Again, 6 out of 7 on Marvel's fighting skills is pretty up there, especially for a non-powered human being. But I think if they did fight, if the win is going to be by the most obtuse of means. I mean, literally, he could probably use like a quarter to put it in his temple or something innocuous. Is not going to be who has the biggest gun or who has the most ammo or whatever. It's going to be something. It could be a piece of broken glass or something that decides the winner. And probably maybe both of them one may go out, but I know John Wick, he's escaped several times bleeding out or near bleeding out. Whoever wins, they may die like an hour later or something like that. So I think it's not out of the realm that both may buy it in this fictional handoff. But but for sure, you don't want either one of them on your tail. That I think we can all agree with.
Well, so look, I'm gonna say it like this, just for my piece of arguments. honestly, these two characters are pretty much perfectly matched in most cases. They're not. I mean, of course, if you do more digging and you really do your breakdowns, then hey, I'll be here to hear it and probably kneel to the.
Frank Castle, baby.
Shut the fuck up. No one's talking. I'm on the fucking panel. God damn it.
Frank fucking
Put this
Castle.
ninja
Shut the hell
down.
up.
God damn it. I'm over here talking. What's the point of having fucking final comments if you're just gonna motherfucking interrupt somebody? You with your rude ass.
Go ahead, girl.
Take me off the fucking screen. I'm sick and tired of bitch ass niggas.
Okay. I didn't expect to end the show like this. What's up, Marcus? you know, last
I'm telling you.
Sorry.
Yeah, anyway, why they for John
Listen,
Wick?
Well, it might be for John Wick, all right? But y'all don't know shit about the Baba Yaga. Y'all do not know shit about the Baba Yaga, but you especially don't know about Frank Castle. Frank Castle will still whoop that ass any day of the week, no matter what. No matter what. As much as I like John Wick and he got 4 movies with the 5th one probably coming out, I don't know. But trust me, y'all don't know shit about Frank Castle like the way I used to grow up. Marvel Knights Comics Edition, that dude was the shit, man. That dude was the shit. But they never really wanted to show his martial arts fighting styles as much as they did with his weapons gallery. You know what I'm saying? I think he was a guy that I think throughout the years, because of John Bernthal and because of what Marvel was able to do to put the show on, and never really got him a movie of true justice besides, if you really want to count Thomas Jane's in 2004, that Punisher, or the one that came out after a few years later with that different actor, Ray Stevenson.
I think it was called some bullshit like that. It was
It was
horrible.
called War Journal. Punisher War Journal.
Yeah, which actually it got the gore of the element right, because Frank Castle's was a bit more bloody and gory. But anyways, back to the combo. Yeah, as much as I like John Wick and all that, I still think Frank Castle still steps above it. And plus, John Wick needed help. He needed resources. He couldn't really do it himself. He get bailed out at times. Halle Berry, you know what I'm saying? You got that chick saving your ass, and that was Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? And you had Lawrence Fishburne, when he retired, to hit rock bottom and became a bum and started messing around with birds. So in the streets of New York. So you got that element. So he needed the bum coalition. So but either way. So whatever you guys think, that's awesome. But yeah, that's it. I think he's awesome.
I'm gonna go.
From a human Marvel character. I'm sorry, from a human Marvel character, because that was the other thing too that I'm sorry that I needed to add on, because you guys are brushing up on that topic. I think on the scale of what he is or who he is, he's cool from a human factor, but from an overall power level and stuff, no, he would still get washed by Spider-Man, maybe, unless he gets a sniper on Spider-Man and Spider-Man can't sense him with the Spidey sense tingling or something like that. But then you also got to deal with maybe Captain America, and you got to deal with the Hulk, because the Hulk is an issue, and Thor. Come on now, too bad. That's a god, and then Hulk is a walking nuke.
Literally, don't piss that guy off.
Literally.
Shit, I got some bad jokes I'm not gonna say on air right now. But listen, we can go back and forth with this. I'm still gravitating toward Punisher. I think his experience is fuck you, David. His experience and everything. With his experience with the core, his tours, his hand-to-hand combat, his weapon skills, I think he has the upper edge. I'll be honest with you.
And John Wick got no weapon skills.
I never said that. I never said he doesn't. I never said that. Now, as much as John Wick has weapons experience and hand-to-hand combat, but is it equal of experience as the Punisher? That is a question that we're never going to get the answer from, to be honest. So let's get a schedule update and let's get the heck out of here. So tomorrow we will be talking about On the Gray Area, a topic that I never thought I'm going to say out loud. The word, what the word mean? I love you means tomorrow's night.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I know. On Wednesday, Wally and David will be talking about Dragon Ball Z, the Legend of the Super Saiyan. Good luck. You guys are going to need that one.
Yeah, I know.
And on Thursday, we're gonna be talking about password and privacy, the debate of sharing in a relationship. Yeah, I'm going there.
Okay.
And Rob, you ready for this one? You're gonna like this next topic next Saturday. Marvel, Brandon answers, Sonic versus Mario.
Ooh.
The classes of the gaming icons.
And you
Oh, so
know
you're
they put
talking in
out
the
all over the
gaming
TV
context
back
now,
in the day.
not
Uh,
their TV or movie
No,
spinoffs.
fuck that shit. That's fucking horrible.
Okay,
We're talking about the game.
I'm just clarifying.
No,
You're
no,
talking
I
in the
know, I know,
context of
I know.
gaming. That's all.
The stuff we grew up on playing, like Sega, Nintendo. What?
Sega.
I actually just bought a new Sega, so I have it sitting on
And
my
you saw the
couch.
commercial. They did them dirty. This is Mario on an ice cream truck, and this is Sonic on a drag racing machine. I'm like, yo, they did that intentionally to say that Sonic is far better than Mario. So I don't know how you would do with that argument.
We'll find out next week. So I think Rob's gonna definitely join us for that one. Are you traveling?
The wife's birthday's next week.
Still happy birthday.
I may have to tune in and understand what the word "I love you" means.
See, you're already demonstrating your love for your wife by the fact that you're already saying that, hey, got to take care of business. I got you. So that's love right there.
So if I get a text from message from you, you're getting a divorce. I know what happened.
No.
Told you to pick up that Cheesecake Factory on the way to go.
I think I have some extra room with Alex's dog bed. If you need it, Rob, I'll be more. I think he might share it.
Wow.
Oh, I've got my back cave. I'm good.
Or CQ might have some extra room of his 20 rooms in there with all the people who lives there. So you might have to crash there in Maryland for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all joking aside, guys, tune in tomorrow. Here in the BMU Network, we're gonna love to have a conversation. If you want to join us, you know where we're gonna be. Hopefully, you guys are gonna join us. David, I will slap you through the screen. So this is going to be a great topics this week. We have a lot of stuff going on. Please tune in. Please hit the like, share, subscribe. As always, I am Ghost of Sparta. Stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.